Hey everybody, welcome to Raising Vibrations. And in this video, I'm going to be talking to you about Pluto and Aquarius. I'm going to continue the series. And I'm also going to be talking specifically in this video about the process of surviving to thriving. Okay, so what does it look like for us to live in a world where there is affordances of thriving as opposed to being stuck in a surviving structure, which will be very much part of this Aquarius energy. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. As I mentioned, this is kind of like a part of a small little video series, and I've been talking about things like Aquarius being very much about change. We're heading into change. It's a background frequency change, talking about what types of experiences we can expect to see and how we will naturally interact with the acceleration that is coming our way. So what I want to talk about here more so is kind of delving into the ways that you can access self-agency, that you can work through and see patterns of disempowerment within yourself, be able to navigate the world in an Aquarius way of living, as opposed to the previous cycle that we have been living in, like Pluto Capricorn, and even sort of going back. Aquarius is going to accelerate us into a completely new world, and it will feel progressively like we're growing out of a very prehistoric structure of how we as human beings have been existing. So this kind of like emergence of something new from an older world is, well, it's going to feel very strange to us. So how do you navigate in this new kind of frequency? So I want to talk about Aquarius as a symbol of disassociation. This will become more and more evident in the world, where people will struggle to cope with the radical changes and the disorder and the rupturing. And the coping mechanism will be to disassociate. There's too much going on, there's too much change, there's too many things occurring, I'm overwhelmed, and so therefore I need to kind of detach from this experience and essentially remain frozen or stuck in an emotional space. And then that emotional space informs your perception of the world. Okay? So I want to kind of address that so that you know what it will look like, as well as maybe how you can see that potentially emerging within yourself. Okay? So if you think about it, like in video 2, a lot of changes will take place. A lot of the meaning that we have given our lives and the roles that we've played in our lives will change rapidly. And how do you deal with yourself? How do you carry yourself? How do you navigate yourself in a world where the maps of reality have changed? How do you process that? Especially when we don't even have a map that says this is the way to go, or this is how to handle it. So I was mentioning that the onset of things like astrology, human design, I Ching, gene keys, numerology, there will be maps that people will naturally gravitate towards as ways of making meaning. It's essential for us. When we are going through such changes, as I said, disassociation is a natural reaction as a way to cope with changes. And there are two types of disassociations that emerge in Aquarius. One of them is a nostalgic disassociation, and the other one is a childlike innocence disassociation. One of them leads you to naturally wanting to align with a world that promises some utopian state. That's the innocence piece. And the other one affords a returning to something that felt stable and familiar, and that's the nostalgia. Okay? And you're going to have to kind of process through this emotional swaying between, wow, I would love to go to a place that felt stable because this terrain feels very unclear and unusual. Or, hey, I just want other people to build this utopian world for me because taking responsibility in this world is too much and I can't handle that. And so therefore, I'll leave it up to the governments, I'll leave it up to the organizations to dictate, and I will just live within it and submit. And these are the types of two emotional disassociations that will materialize for us. The framing of reality will be go back to the past because that's what was familiar. That's the message subconsciously. But on the surface, it will look something like we need to go back because of whatever reason, right? And I said in the future process, this idealistic state, it will be very much a organization or series of organizations or rules that will be implemented as a way to live in a world that protects you from reality that is so foreign. Right? That's what a parent does to a child. It's like says, I'll shield you from the complexity of the world, but you are under my supervision and my control. And we all know what happens when we're children and we say, hey, can we have this? And if there's a parent that's very authoritative and very dysregulated, they can easily sort of go, no, you can't have this, and these are the rules, and you should just shut up, right? As opposed to kind of healthy interaction with childlike and grow and explore curiosity. So those two states will become clear. And they will come out of a loss of agency, a loss of meaning. And this is what I meant when I said suffering is the absence of your ability to recognize that you can take action, that you have power. So you're disempowered by something, and this disempowerment can lead you to in these states. So that's why it's important for you to work on yourself and understand yourself deeper, and to continue to keep understanding who you are and what you are. Not only does that afford you the gift of Aquarius, which is individuation, but it also gives you the opportunity to align with worlds that are healthy, that have got an integrative and balanced way of seeing perception, and are rich in possibility, rich in new ideas, new experiences, new growth, new community spaces that are, as I said, like have a higher frequency, a higher vibration, that are clean and pure. Whereas the more subconscious factions that will naturally emerge out of this, because of the dysregulated emotional states, because the world is too complex. So allowing yourself to work on where you carry patterns of disempowerment or states of that need to, like emotional states that need to be resolved, will afford you more power in this world. It also means that in a world that is changing rapidly, you need to be able to value adaptation, and you need to be able to value an ability to carry yourself, to say, okay, here is a world, this is changing. I need to know how to make decisions for myself. I need to be able to be responsible for myself. I need to be able to know how to take care of myself. I need to be able to know how to navigate a world and human interaction where I'm bringing value to experiences and understanding myself, so that there's less projection, less conflict, less more primal drivers from our limbic system coming into it. And you can already see that in the world right now, right? There's a lot of division that takes place. We can be easily manipulated by corporations, etc., and people with propaganda and framing things. It will progressively become more difficult for you to make sense in Aquarius energy, because there will be so many different perspectives, different ways of seeing things, that if you don't know how and what you value and how you can carry yourself in the world, you can easily be sort of overwhelmed with the complexity. And that then affords you to, well, I'm just going to kind of disassociate from this experience. And you don't live in the world anymore. You live vicariously through a projection of something. And your life force just diminishes there. So navigation through this time is expect the unexpected. Align with resonant groups that you find meaning in, but be mindful of how you carry yourself when you align with groups. Are you aligning them because their ideology or their theme is very much about going back to nostalgic states? And is that a state because people are trying to cope with the instability by creating a world that is very stable and linear? And as I said, with the Aquarius signature, kind of going to a utopian place. So this time is going to be very difficult for us to navigate. I mean, already there's going to be a lot of complexity, but it's going to be difficult in the sense that if you're not really like investing in self-understanding and agency, you're going to find yourself being very kind of confused about how and what to do and navigate through, because these more subconscious drivers will influence and impact your perception. So that's the key here, right? Inner work, understanding your emotional drivers, being able to address where you carry disempowered perceptions, and then being able to step into states of self-empowerment, step into states of self-actualization, and being able to recognize that there's this beautiful opportunity for people to self-actualize themselves. And that's why things like human design, for instance, are so powerful. Even evolutionary astrology are so powerful because they are tools that help you understand your navigation system so that you can better orientate and frame the world that affords you possibility and actualization and thriving, as opposed to, say, for instance, being lost in ideological group dynamics that are not really about you, but about the sort of recapturing of either a nostalgic state or a state of idealized utopianness that we need to move towards. Both of them will have controlling dynamics in there. When we're in states of fear and loss of control, more control is needed as a reflexive action psychologically. So more like laws, more regulations, more regulations, more regulations, as opposed to kind of freedom and experiencing and expressing yourself and navigating a world that is not freedom in the sense of like freedom at all costs, but freedom in the sense of emotional internal freedom, where you can interact with things and have the confidence and establish your boundaries and interact in a world where it's not emotionally disturbing and violating to yourself. That's kind of the key here. Okay, so in the next video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk more about systems as ways of objectifying reality. And I want to touch more on this idea of not knowing what to trust because everything is a simulation. And so how do you navigate in worlds where there are mirrors and simulations and the sense of originality and organic energy has been lost in the mirrors of all of the things that will exist, like AI as an example is a great reflection of this. So I want to be addressing that and how you can use systems like astrology and such to objectify your own space and your own reality so that you can better navigate in these times. Okay, the other thing that I wanted to mention and announce is that there's only 2 more days left for the enrollment of the Evolutionary Astrology School, as well as the Aquarian Life program. These 2 are specifically designed to help you navigate in the world. And I'll be personally working with you in both of these systems. And we've also cut the price to 50% discount. So this is here for those that have really wanted to do this. This is your time now, okay? All right, guys, thanks very much for listening, and I'll see you in another video. Bye-bye.